Satchidanandarupaya Vishwotpattyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratascharateshvabhignaswarat Tene brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayaha Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi Dharma projita ketavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Kim va paririshvaraha Sadyo hridyavarudhyate trakritibihi Shushrushubistatchana. Hari Om and greetings from Sacramento. When Putana, a Rakshasi, one of the first assassins to try to kill Bhagavan Krishna, when he was just an infant, poisoned her breasts and started feeding Bhagavan Krishna, he thought to himself that this is my mother. And in his love for his mother, he removed all of that poison and granted her Puta. Putana means the one who's impure. Puta means the one who's pure. He granted her freedom. Described in Srimad Bhagavatam, occasionally when Bhagavan Krishna would look at a mirror, that mirror would become attracted to Bhagavan Krishna. Who is this person? So handsome. Occasionally, when people would see Bhagavan Krishna wearing his crown, his armlets, his anklets, they would feel he's less beautiful because they felt that those ornaments were hiding Bhagavan Krishna, were hiding his face, his skin. For the typical person, an ornament makes us look better. In Bhagavan's case, it makes him look worse. In the Mahabharata war, in many of the wars in Bhagavan Krishna's life, the enemy would be so enamored by Bhagavan Krishna that they would forget to fire their weapons at him. When one knows details about God and God's life, one starts to have faith that God is. For most of us, God is an idea. But God is or is not, we're unclear about that. We don't have those details. And this is the vision of our course, the details of God and God's life, so that we feel God is. If you are clear that God lives inside of you, you would never have a negative thought. If you are confident that God is your spouse, your child, you would be completely selfless. We've nearly completed 4 skandhas of Srimad Bhagavatam. And for many of you,
Prior to this course, Srimad Bhagavatam was an unknown term. This was an inaccessible scripture. And here we are, having studied so much, been together for almost a year. I hope that you're developing that faith that God is. If God is not, none of what I described would be possible. The fourth skanda focuses on the purusharthas. Purusha means human. And every time I say human, please feel that you are a human. Please feel that this is not an intellectual concept. This relates to you. Artha is meaning. What brings value to our life? So a purushartha is a human's pursuit for meaning, for value. And if one gains a purushartha, gains the purushartha, you know you have because you feel purna. Purna means there's a completeness, an independence. Dharma, artha, kama. Position, possession, pleasure. These are all known as sadhya. Sadhya means these can be gained. Now, you all know in your experiences, all that can be gained can also be lost. Agreed? All that has come into your life, it's not that it can leave your life, this will leave your life. Dharma, artha, kama are known as anitya. Anitya means they are not forever. The implication of this, position, possession, pleasure, will not lead to purna, will not help us feel happy once and for all. Moksha is known as siddha. Not that which is to be gained, but that which is already gained. Siddha. That which is already gained can never be lost. You can lose your keys, you can lose your hair, you can lose your mind, but you cannot lose yourself. And this is known as nitya. Nitya means that which is forever. Moksha is the only purushartha that will help us feel purna, for us to be happy once and for all. And you don't have to gain anything. You don't have to become anything. We simply have to feel who we are. Bhava. Bhava means feeling. If we understand this, and we're slowly completing the fourth skanda, our relationship with dharma, artha, kama will become proper. How much we live for position, possession, pleasure will be regulated. If we don't understand this, we will feel the purpose of life is to gain instead of feeling. Reviewing more details about this. The first purushartha that is taught to us is dharma. And the main personality in this skanda is Daksha. Daksha Prajapati. We've heard about him in Ramayana, in Bhagavatam already. When Devi Sati was controlling the elements and burning up her body, Daksha didn't move his little finger to help her. What kind of parent would do that? What kind of human would do that? To not even move their little finger to help someone who's so sad that they're giving up their body. When Bhagavan Shiva found out about this, he plucked a lock of his hair and smashed it against the ground. And what came out of that impact? Veerabhadra. Have you all heard of that name, Virabhadra, before? Virabhadra is like the Terminator. It's like the Predator. You know, all of those movies that we watch. The original warrior is Virabhadra. And he went to town on Daksha and all related to Daksha. Now, what is to be noted here is that Bhagavan Narayana and Bhagavan Brahma never went to Daksha's yajna, never went there. They were vigilant that where satsang is not going to happen, why would we go there? Now apply that to your life. Do you have the same filter? Where satsang's not going to happen, that you never go there? Where satsang's not going to happen, all that will happen is dussanga, or destruction. That's why I'm reminding all of you of Virabhadra went and destroyed all. That's what dussanga, or bad company, does. Finally, Bhagavan Shiva does go to that yajna, and he brings Daksha back to life. And Daksha then goes on to praise Bhagavan Shiva and says, I'm grateful to you for not punishing me, but correcting me. That is a lovely show of compassion. I've shared with all of you that one of Bhagavan Shiva's eyes is compassion. He didn't punish Daksha, he corrected him. Like a parent would do, right? Our parents don't punish us, they correct us. Dharma is only meaningful in reference to moksha. The next Purushartha is Artha, and the personality we've been exploring is Dhruva. When Dhruva had left the kingdom to find Bhagavan, on the way, Rishi Narada came. And Rishi Narada was testing him, testing his sincerity. And he shares a really lovely management technique. All of us work with people, so I want you to note this. He says, when you come across people who are superior to you in qualities, you should be happy for them. What is our reaction? To be jealous of them, isn't it? He says you should be muda, which means to celebrate them. For those who are inferior to you in qualities, we should sympathize. Our reaction is to feel proud, isn't it? But to sympathize that maybe they didn't have the opportunities that I've had, that we've had. And if someone is equal to you in qualities, to be their friend. That friendship, so that you can encourage each other. Equality. And Rishi Narada says this because he's trying to dissuade Dhruva from finding Bhagavan. He says, do this when you're older. Instead of being jealous of your brother, celebrate him. But Dhruva knows that Artha is not that throne. The only Artha is God. When Dhruva became the king, he was an awesome ruler. And one portion of Srimad Bhagavatam, he has an intense battle with Kubera. And I described Kubera to all of you in Ramayana. Earlier, I was sharing how beautiful Bhagavan Krishna is. You know who's supposedly the most ugly icon or devata? It is Kubera. He's known to have one eye, 3 legs, very asymmetrical. And the reason for that is, what is Kubera always thinking and speaking and acting about? Money, correct? Artha. People who only live for Artha, they become ugly, inside and outside. So Kubera is being crushed by Raja Dhruva, but eventually Dhruva's lineage, his great-grandfather, whatever position he's in, it is Manu, Raja Manu, who comes and tells him, why are you trying to have more Artha? Why are you fighting with Kubera? The purpose of life is not that. And in that insight, in that teaching, Raja Dhruva backs off and forgives Kubera. Now, a lovely message here is, if you think of all of the people who are remembered in life, historically in your own personal life, those who are legends are not those who had the greatest earning capacity, but those who had the greatest expansion capacity. Those who shared those earnings, those who helped others with their earnings. Those people are legends, are creating a legacy. And this is what is shown between the fight with Dhruva and Kubera. All of the artha in our life will come and go other than God. The third Purushartha that we're presently focusing on and will complete today is Kama. And the personality highlighting or teaching us about Kama is Raja Prithu. Raja Prithu's, as the word Vena means tyrant. In Srimad Bhagavatam, earlier I told you his name is Vena, but reading this some more, he actually does not have a name. His name is not stated, but people called him Vena. They called him tyrant. That's an unfortunate title to be given. And Raja Prithu, on the other hand, he was known to be most impartial. Raja Vena, a tyrant, is most partial, lots of likes and dislikes. But Raja Prithu was most impartial. Now again, lots of subtle leadership techniques, management techniques, family techniques. I'm in Sacramento right now for the spiritual parenting retreat. This year, the focus is on the vision of friendship. Eventually, parents have to stop being parents and they have to start being friends. That is difficult for South Asian parents. It's difficult for all of you. And part of the reason of that, culturally, all of you who are of my parents' generation, you probably grew up with a lot of siblings. Like I believe in Sheila's families, Sheila's dad has like 10 siblings and her mother has like 8 siblings. So Sheila's parents' were always parents, correct? Because there were so many kids in the family that they were always a parent. So then Sheila's parents, I'm using this as a micro example, they would have been exposed to only being a parent. Now for my generation, I have 2 other siblings now. Our kids will only have 1 sibling each, as in Vyasa and Shuka. So we don't have to be, and we shouldn't be parents all the time. Eventually, we should become their friends. As they become older, if I keep being a parent to them, all I'm going to give them is advice. Now tell me, who wants advice? Do you want my advice? You're only part of this class because you have to be part of this class. But who actually wants advice? And what's fascinating is everyone's always giving advice. So this year we're focusing on this idea of evolving from a parent to a friend. And you know what we're studying? Ramayana. We're studying Kishkinda Kanda, where Bhagavan Rama is telling Sugriva who a friend is. We've all studied that already. And I'm only sharing with you that a friend is one who is impartial. A parent is one who's impartial. A leader is one who's impartial. Impartial means they don't operate on likes and dislikes. Raja Prithu is described as the sun. What does the sun do to water? This of a parking lot, correct? And I'm going to pause here. Everyone can hear me and see me clearly. Okay. It's sharing otherwise. Rajaprithu takes all of the wealth available in the kingdom. He evaporates all of that, like the sun. But then what does the sun do with that water? That water turns into clouds and is shared as fresh water with all, correct? There's no partiality that more rain will fall on that tree and not on that tree. That's the level of impartiality that is described with Rajaprithu. And one more insight about him before we study one shloka. I had shared with all of you that the earth had taken away all of the resources because of Vena. The earth was protecting the water, the grains, the minerals. And the earth never released this with a change in leadership. So Rajaprithu was angry at the earth. You know, people are starving. It's saddening. It makes you want to cry if you read the descriptions of the people who are suffering from starvation under wrong leadership. And I can't help but share these details. They share that we're like a wildfire. Like a fire burns a tree, the fire in our stomach is burning us. That's a really sad thought. Our digestive fire should be burning up food, correct? Turning that into energy. But for the people in this kingdom, that fire is just burning up their own lining, their own skin. So he's angry at Mother Earth, and Mother Earth says to Rajaprithu, I know you are Bhagavan Vishnu, and you came as Varaha to save me, and now you've come as a king and you're angry at me. And that subtle detail shows that Bhagavan Vishnu is not partial. When the earth needs help, he helps the earth. When the earth is being selfish, he's angry at that earth. God has the right relationship with all. We now reach a famous part of Srimad Bhagavatam, and you'll really enjoy this. Rajaprithu is an awesome king, and he's about to finish his time as a king. So he gives all of his citizens like a valedictory address. This is on, obviously, the 4th skanda, the 21st adhyaya. This is the 22nd shloka. 4, 21, 22. Note this down. In this is shared the responsibilities of a Raja. The responsibilities of one who is responsible. Aham dandadaro Raja prajanam iha yojitaha rakshita vritti dasveshu setushu stapita pratak. The 4 responsibilities of a Raja are given here. I'm going to tell you literally and then share with you how this relates to us. Dandadara, which means justice. Next is Rakshita, which you know means protection. Vrittida, which means employment. And number 4, Stapita, which means order. I'll come back, okay? Some of the details that have happened leading up to this. Rajaprithu is such an amazing ruler and seeker that Bhagavan Vishnu comes and graces him. And there's a humorous and amazing dialogue between Rajaprithu and Bhagavan Vishnu where he says, your wife, that is Devi Lakshmi, and I are going to have a rivalry. She wants to serve you forever. I also want to serve you forever. So we're going to have this competition. And then he pauses and says, but I'm not concerned about this competition because I know how unconditional you are. You are not lost in the beauty of Devi Lakshmi. You are not lost in her wealth. You are unconditional. Anyone who loves you, you love them back. And he says this in such a subtle way, implying that he's going to win this competition. That he loves Bhagavan Vishnu is going to love him. Now, only someone who feels that God is would share such thoughts, correct? See how personal this dialogue is between Raja Prithu and Bhagavan Vishnu. It reminds me of an infant, a toddler. When Vyasa interacts with stuff, he doesn't feel separate from them. Like when he reads a book, he thinks he can go in that bus in the book. To him, there's no separation there. He'll say, I want to go in there. He'll offer food to the moon and talk to Shuka, like Shuka can understand him. There's so much of bhava in an infant, in a toddler, in a seeker. Let's come back to these leadership tools. When one is a Raja, a leader, a parent, anyone who's responsible for others, whom you're responsible for, 1/6 of their punya is accumulated to you. If you are responsible, you engage in these 4 responsibilities, all the people that you're helping, 1/6 of their punya comes to you. That is an awesome investment, no? However, if you are an irresponsible parent, leader, ruler, then not only do you lose all of your punya, but you gain all of the papa that is created because of your irresponsibility. Yes? As an example, if I run a shady restaurant and in that a bunch of people get sick, that's negligence, isn't it? Am I not charged their sickness, their suffering, but I get charged for that, isn't it? That's why health standards are so important. So if you're responsible, there's a lot of gain. If you're irresponsible, there's a lot of loss. These responsibilities, once again, are danda dhara. The word danda means a stick. With a stick, you can encourage people. With a stick, you can prevent people. Do not think of danda dhara only as punishment. This is justice. Okay? Rakshita, protection. Typically, you see in a war movie, those who need the most protection are part of the exodus first. Children, those who are not well. That protection is given. Then, vrittida, which is employment. You're all familiar with Robin Hood. Robin Hood's strategy in life is to steal from the rich and give to the poor. If your family is starving and you can't find a job, you cannot afford to feed your family, will you steal? Most of you will say no, but the correct answer is yes. You will steal. The suffering that will come with stealing will be far less than the suffering that will come with the sickness or passing away of a family member. Why put someone in that scenario? Those who are responsible have to create employment. I'm reading an article right now in USA Today about how people simply are not retiring. Even those who claim to retire just become consultants. Now see the harm that creates for the forthcoming generation. There's just not enough jobs for lawyers, for accountants, for physicians. And that's because people are focusing on artha as possession instead of realizing that, hey, I have to think not just for myself, but for more. That's what a responsible person does. There's a time to work and there's a time to let other people work too. And finally, stapita, which is order. And another word for order is dharma. To allow people, to encourage people, to appreciate people with dharma. And isn't that what Bhagavan does too? Bhagavan incarnates to end adharma and to encourage dharma. That's why in our culture, a Raja, a leader, is like Bhagavan. He's treated and is envisioned as Bhagavan. Last thought. And many of us are trying to wrap ourselves around these responsibilities. You may feel that you're not a leader, but you are. Everyone is watching you. When you come late, when you come on time, everyone's watching. What you wear, what you don't wear, everyone is watching. Who you talk to, who you don't talk to, everyone is watching, yes? The whole world is watching the pollution in Delhi. The whole world is watching the freedom in Ayodhya. When I sign on to Twitter in Sacramento, this comes onto my Twitter feed. Everyone is watching. So, Raja Prithu says to his citizens, imagine he's saying this to us. There's a Raja, we are Praja. He's telling us, and he specifically tells the Brahmanas, those who study and share the Shastra, like you. You are all Brahmanas. You're studying Shastra. You're sharing this. You have a discussion afterwards. Those who follow these responsibilities, those who encourage these responsibilities, and those who appreciate these responsibilities, they are all benefited, or they all grow at the same level. Follow, encourage, appreciate. So my point here is, if I follow these responsibilities, I get, say, 25% happiness. Suppose I don't follow this, but I encourage others to follow this. It's the same 25%. Suppose I don't encourage people, but I appreciate those who do follow these responsibilities, same 25%. Now imagine you did all three. You follow these responsibilities, you encourage the people in your home, in your community to do this, and you appreciate it. Anyone, everyone you see who's like this, how sattvic we would become, how divine we would become. Just like I shared with Dhruva, it was God who wanted to see Dhruva. When someone lives like this, that person will want darshan of Bhagavan, but Bhagavan will also want darshan of that person. I feel this section on Kama with Raja Prithu is most relatable. Every one of us can do this and live like this. Oh.